But now the righteousness of God, apart from the law, is revealed, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Romans 3, verse 21. Old Testament is law, New Testament is gospel. One of the many trick questions I took great pleasure in asking confirmation classes was and is, the Old Testament is only law and the New Testament is only gospel. True or false? Most of the students would give a hesitant true answer, while others would give a resounding true. While we know that such is not true, still we can find ourselves thinking along those lines. It is understandable, since most of the time when we speak of the law we cite Old Testament passages, or we hear reference to the giving of the law on Sinai, which obviously is recorded in the Old Testament. The other reason is because the Old Testament speaks of the Jewish nation and their living under that old covenant, so we slip into that way of thinking, and maybe even think that the Old Testament believers were saved because they followed the law, because of the works they did, while we who live under the New Testament, yes, we indeed know better. We know that we live under grace, that we are saved by faith and not by works, and that our righteousness is far better than any righteousness that existed in the Old Testament, because we are saved by faith and they were, well, perhaps saved somehow and in some way, kind of, sort of, through the law. This way of thinking is not unusual, and maybe we preachers are part of the reason one can think in this manner. We speak of the law. We often point to the Ten Commandments. We point to Moses. We quote Old Testament passages that demonstrate what the law is and what happened when it was not kept. Then, to show you the gospel, we quote New Testament passages which demonstrate the free gift of salvation, the righteousness which, as Paul here says, is apart from the law. So we preachers are guilty of adding to this idea. Of course, the truth is, and is quickly evidenced in the Scriptures, that such is not the case. The Old Testament is not 100% nor 50.1% law, while the New Testament is 1,000% gospel, and there is no passage in the New Testament that speaks of the law or its threats or the condemnation which comes from it. The Lord, through Paul, clearly says here, the righteousness of God apart from the law is revealed, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. And in the next verse clearly defines what that righteousness is. Even the righteousness of God, which is through faith in Jesus Christ, to all and on all who believe. Old or New Testament does not matter. This perfect righteousness of God through Jesus, given by faith, is revealed in the Scriptures, Old and New. The Scriptures. Amen.